Hi, there we are. Welcome, everyone. This is Sports Wrap, and the last one in September. So we're about to say goodbye to the baseball season, at least for the Twins and those teams that aren't going to be in the postseason. But, you know, I was thinking, guys, the one real positive
Do you notice how he kind of starts to smile? He gets excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, here comes the fourth. Come on in, Ed. We just started. We were a little concerned that something had derailed his opportunity to be with us. But we're going to be blessed by the presence of Mr. Erdmans also.
We sure are.
Which is good, because we're just starting. No, and I'm on the Twins kick here.
Oh.
And I have a positive that I'm taking out of this season that I think is a real positive.
Let's hear it.
Okay. The Twins started playing at Target Field in 2010. We have never, ever been able to establish home field advantage, but I think we did that this year. We're 43-31 at home. It has become a place where the Twins are successful.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
It's not just random.
No.
How many hours did you spend trying to...
Hang on to that.
Trying to find one positive.
Why are your fists like this?
I'm excited.
You're hoping.
Well, that too, yes. But I like that. But how can you be so bad on the road?
Of the people on the current roster, how many do you think will be here next year to further this positive thing?
I read something on that also, and the person that was writing the column said maybe half.
Okay.
I can see where you might have a streak, or you might play well the first 20% of your games, start feeling really good about being at home. I can see where that helps, but carry over to 1 year to the next. I'm kind of with Mr. Swingen on random.
We'll bring you down. Get rid of all that positive energy.
It's starting already to slip away. Oh, yeah. So had we been even respectable on the road, we would have been in the hunt. Kind of.
And vice versa last year.
Right.
So
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think the disastrous road situation will carry over till next year?
Well, I didn't think that far. I kind of cut my thinking off at the positives.
I see. Oh, that's good. That's a good way to go.
My thought is you can't be that bad again on the road, can you?
The Twins made a number of moves last offseason that were seen by the baseball press as really positive and really good.
Right.
Their pitching acquisitions, great. Power hitting, great. Really expected great things out of them. They didn't turn out pretty much to a man. But we also saw those oftentimes mystifying prospects actually show up and do well. So I'm with you. I think next year could be really good.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think the Twins have shown that the free agent market is the way to go for
Not for us.
their team
point.
and their market with their limited capabilities financially. The hope comes from the trades for pitchers the Twins have made the last 2 years at the trading deadline to see if those guys, if 30% of them can develop, we can be competitive again.
Yeah. And some of the guys that were kind of lost in other teams' minor league systems, like Jake Cave and Tyler Austin.
And previously Johan Santana.
Right. Some guys like that don't have a chance until they come to Minnesota. Then they get the chance and they produce.
We have this supposedly all-star front office. So they really need to kind of prove that they are this all-star front office. And why not? Do you have the same manager next year, though, Craig?
Oh, if Paul Molitor wants to be here, I think you do.
Okay.
The question is, does he want to still be here? I don't know. How much will he take of not winning?
I don't think he wants to go out as a loser.
Well, that's probably true. Pretty competitive guy. Yeah.
And he probably has some emotional ties to Minnesota that are strong and want to do it well. Going back to Ned's talk about the front office and so forth, doing things right. We were talking earlier in the summer about Brian Dozier and about that trade and I was one of the ones here on this group that said, I love Brian Dozier. I wish they would have signed him. Now, as we approach the end of the year, you wonder if the front office didn't know something about Brian Dozier that perhaps we didn't, in terms of if he's going to start regressing or they saw something, because he has not really played that well.
True, yeah.
So I don't
So,
know.
Coach, are you repenting?
Well, yeah, but not as far as Brian Dozier is concerned. On the other level, yes. No, I love him as a person and his character and everything, but I don't know. I thought they should have signed him, but maybe their analytics or whatever that they use were telling them something, and he really, he might be a cheaper signing than we think if they want to bring him back.
They sure didn't get very much for him, did they?
No, which is an indication of perhaps the
Just
league
trying to
too.
get rid of him?
They did get one decent prospect in that deal, didn't they? The first baseman. I can't think of his name now.
If you can't think of his name,
Well,
he can't be that great.
I'm not going to think of his name if you can't think of his name.
I'll be Sid today because I can't think of it. But I don't know. That's hard to say because they did just swap dollars with Logan Forsythe's contract and Dozier's, so it wasn't all the dollar thing.
But I think you do have some things. They are giving you some glimmers of hope at the end of the season. And the people that they brought up, unlike our most covered and anticipated prospects, everyone's come up hungry. Everyone's done pretty well.
Right.
You know, except for our big two. They're not doing very well. But all the other guys come up hungry and they start hitting and they start running and fielding and, you know, look pretty good.
What do all of the teams going to the playoffs have in common?
They're better than the
You're
Twins.
better than the Twins.
Yes,
You
but
beat me
why
to that.
are they? Why are they?
Such a
Way to
setup.
break it.
Oh boy, that's very true. I can't argue that. But they're big guys who they were counting on, came through, and our guys didn't. Is it that simple?
Not all of them, but most of them.
I'm not sure we had the same kind of big guys they did to come through.
Okay.
Well, but we do, you know, we've kind of belabored the point that Buxton and Sano, along with Kepler, that Chattanooga was a AA team, was really going to do it. And now is the time, and they're here, and it didn't work. And so you're right in saying, and whoever's writing this and you're reading, that there'll be quite a few roster changes. They got to regroup.
So we've got all the money we're saving on Mauer next year.
Right.
We got the money we're saving on Dozier next year. What are we going to do with it?
And Irvin Santana,
There you go.
because if we don't take his option, there's another $13 million.
So what are we going to do with all that money?
That's a good question and one I'd like you guys to address.
Put it in the Poleheads' pockets?
Ooh, don't want to do that.
Oh,
No.
they probably would like that.
Yep. And again, I haven't evaluated the free agent market so much, but yeah, where do you put that money?
Probably sign Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Do you either go for a J.D. Martinez or forget it? I mean, do we really want to sit around spending money for Logan Morrison's, Jake Odorizzi's, Lance Lynn's? those
It's a
kind of
great
people?
point. It's just, that has to be the $64,000 obvious question.
I sure wish we'd have done that last year. Gone
I
for
think they
JD.
should swing a trade somehow with St. Louis to
For?
get Carlos Martinez,
With
plug him in DH, and
plug him in DH?
yep. If we have Austin at first base, occasionally Martinez
talking
can play in the outfield.
Talking about the other Martinez.
I know you are. I'm talking about the St. Louis
Yeah,
Martinez.
you're talking about the pitcher, Carlos
No.
Martinez from St. Louis.
Jose Martinez.
Jose,
You can be Sid for a while now.
Jose, can you see?
Yeah.
But, you know, he needs to be a DH somewhere. And he's a good
What?
hitter, not great power.
Why do we want a 30-year-old singles, doubles hitter?
Well, how long is it before we're going to try and make a run? And he
Molitor
might
says,
be cheap. He might come cheaper than we think, that's all.
Molitor says the Twins will compete next year for a playoff spot. They
Okay.
will.
Let's looking
Well,
forward
what's-
to it.
well, what's
I'm
he
not going to
gonna
buy a season
say?
ticket, but
Well,
I don't see we have any chance to be in the playoffs next year.
you always have such a good answer
Well-
to my points.
There's
were
just
a
a lot
lawyer,
of
weren't
things.
you?
Well, there's a lot of
Long
things
ago.
sad.
You're especially competing at the season starts. Everybody's even.
Sports is an environment that, for some reason, cliches are just so acceptable, and the interviews oftentimes aren't very substantive. How'd you hit today? Really great. Yeah, saw the ball, hit the ball.
Well, the other
That
thing
sort
is
of thing is.
you
And
can't
we're going to
be
be great next year. You
You
know.
can't be critical and you can't be negative, so that leaves cliches, I think.
That's true.
But you guys are asking the substantive question, which is, what can they actually implement? And are they going to go for kind of B-level free agents and try to assemble 7 of them to come up, add them together to come up with one great one? Or do you just go for the great one and you say, this is our greatest need, this is the person that's going to pull through? Because when you take a look back even on the 1991 World Champions, having Jack Morris, I mean, these were some pretty big dudes. And Don Baylor in 1987, that was a big dude. That was big.
I'm not sure we have enough other pieces, so one big dude is going to do it.
Yeah.
It just depends on how they play next year, I guess. They've got people with ability. If they play well,
Well,
good.
and the landscape is changing as far as pitching goes. So do you really want to spend a huge chunk of money on what is perceived to be a number 1 or 2 starter, the way people are using their bullpens now? How much more important are the bullpen pieces now than they have ever been compared to your starting pitchers? And are there those guys out there, starting pitchers, who are worth the kind of money that we're talking about?
Well, now you're talking about a deep philosophical and strategic shift. If your team is sold on the opening pitcher idea as opposed to the starting pitcher idea, yeah.
A lot more economical as far as putting all your eggs in
We'll
that
find
one
out, I
starting
guess.
pitcher basket,
I have to carry an extra pitcher.
which is another point. Will the players union, the way the landscape is changing and the bullpen is so important, will they push for that extra roster spot?
Absolutely, they will.
Yeah, they always do.
And probably have been.
That's kind of why they're there.
They're there. That's true. But is it time to listen to that and say, with the changing of the game, we need to do that?
Well, if you're an owner, that 26th spot, however, or 26th spot, however it comes, is probably a league minimum salary player.
True. Which will probably be a bullpen guy in a lot of cases. But, yeah. Okay,
So
enough.
fill me in on what's the insight on Jimmy Butler, other than what I've read.
I can't figure this out.
You're the
Other than,
T-Wolves expert.
yeah, Ned's the T-Wolves expert here. Is it just the players are running the league, Ned, and they want to be with
I
who
think
they
there
wanna
is
be with?
if you want to talk about the big shift, and that is these sort of colleague of friends kind of, I want to play with certain people, because you have just all sorts of strange things happening, and player moves based on players wanting to play with other players and not wanting to be in certain markets. And what I'm disappointed in Jimmy Butler is if he felt this way and he didn't enjoy playing with Wiggins and Towns, and he didn't enjoy playing for Thibodeau anymore, you can say that a lot earlier than the week before your media day, and you can say that a week before whatever. I think that what you have right now, the intrigue in the Timberwolves, is that you still legally have the option to keep him. He can sit out, but that would be pretty bad for him when you talk about this many millions. Just say you have Glenn Taylor saying, I don't want anyone on my team that doesn't want to be here. And deal him fast. And Thibodeau wanting to keep him here, feeling like his legacy's on the line. And so it's kind of a hot mess.
Okay.
Well,
And Thibodeau kind of wants to make that playoff spot, for his own personal reason too. And without Jimmy Butler, that begins to fade. To me, the NBA is unlike any other league where you have players that'll gravitate, like Ned was saying, and want to hold hands and play together, go back to Shaq and Miami and all. And more, some people want to play for the Yankees, and there's some pull there, but nothing like the NBA. I mean, you're going to constantly have these one or two teams clustered at the top, drawing the free agents. Here's the Lakers. Here we go with LeBron. And there'll be two, maybe three.
But with
And they'll battle it out.
With Butler, it's Nets, Knicks, and Clippers. That screams media market, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does.
Yes, it does.
Totally.
You bet it does.
Yep.
Right.
And you have just weird things happening because supposedly the San Antonio Spurs were the model for someone, a team in our sort of media market and being able to make it. And Kawhi Leonard, I mean, gone. Yeah, and making his way towards one of those major market teams. And so you take a look at the NBA. We were just talking about baseball. We're probably going to talk about football. NBA, largely player-driven,
Right.
largely personality-driven. It might work for that league. It doesn't work for a market like ours.
No.
It was good to see Towns sign.
Yeah.
Wiggins seems to want to stay here, but he just really has to kind of reach potential. And we've lost our key person because he's decided he doesn't want to play here. And it puts the Timberwolves in a bad place because they won't get as much for that trade as they could have. And we gave up a lot to bring him here from Chicago.
Right.
A ton.
What I read was from the Nets, Knicks, and Clippers, there's one guy the Timberwolves might want out of 3 teams.
Wow. So, yeah. I don't know what I'd do. I might just let him sit, for the year, if that's the case.
Well, I guess you have to try and get draft choices, don't you?
Well, yeah, that would be the only, yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's not only, a problem for Jimmy Butler to sit, but it's a problem for the Timberwolves, and I'm sure ownership is looking at that. If you have someone that's unhappy on your team, doesn't want to be there, and if there's already friction between
Right.
Wiggins and Butler or Towns and Butler, it's only going to get worse,
Get
and
what
it could
you can,
really
or
be a disaster.
Get what you can or put him on waivers. Save the money, don't mess up your team.
Yeah.
Other sports too. These coaches who think they should be the general manager too. It's just,
Yeah.
and we're seeing a collapse of that now in New England in football. It doesn't work.
You need 2 viewpoints.
Yeah.
Short term and long term. And the coach.
Yeah. Okay, we better go to football.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I had said at the beginning of the year things were going to be the NFL bust, and I didn't want to be, but boy, did they show.
Oh.
And I'm so disappointed in Zim. He can't blame a kicker this week. I mean, and people are like, this is a one-off game. No, it's not. They weren't prepared to play the NFC Championship game. That was 35-7.
Yeah.
There's actually a history of work here that Thursday night becomes huge. Do you have a ready team, or do you have it exposed?
Yeah.
Well, they read the papers and thought they were huge favorites, the biggest favorite in 30 years, and they thought all they needed to do was show up. And then things broke badly for them because of that right away, and then they got themselves in a hole and couldn't dig out. I'm not as pessimistic as Ned is,
Good.
but
Preach it, brother. Bring me out of this hole right now.
I'm not much of a preacher, but 14 yards rushing, part of the way the game went, but yeah, they need Dalvin Cook back, and they need to open things up a little bit. The offensive line's the problem, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same as last 2 years.
Yep.
But last year you had a quarterback stylistically who could work with that sort of line. A rollout, short passing quarterback, not a pocket guy. And right now we have a 5 to 7 step back, lock, load, shoot.
Yeah.
He's getting clobbered.
It'll turn him into a rollout type quarterback.
Maybe.
It's
They
stupid
chase him
penalties.
enough, he'll run.
Oh,
Stupid penalties
Yeah.
dug that hole too. Linval Joseph
Yeah.
hitting the
Barr makes dumb play after dumb play that way. I don't understand that either.
They made it sound like He was the first quarterback to ever hurdle anybody in the NFL. But
Oh.
didn't Joe Cap do that back in '60?
Yes.
He just pancaked people too.
He just
they bounced
ran-
off of him.
Jim Houston, linebacker with Cleveland. I can
Yes,
still see it.
that's the one
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. I thought he went over it.
I remember just flattening him.
Oh, okay.
Saying, oh yeah, linebacker.
Bam.
Over it. But, yeah.
One thing I learned from just all of Sunday is that boys and girls don't ever bet on football. Okay.
That's a good lesson.
that right.
Don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. Put it in buy a savings bond. Okay.
That goes
Or
for
half a
baseball,
beef
too,
or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Because I'll tell you what, nobody, other than the bookies and casinos, made money on Sunday. That was so bizarre. Every single score line was just counterintuitive and strange. And
The Lions beating the Patriots? Who saw that coming?
but I mean,
It was dominance, too.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Just handled them. Yeah. Brady threw for, what was it, 180, 140 yards total?
Wow.
What are the odds of that?
Packers, Redskins, no contest.
Yeah.
The list is long for Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Vikings should get Adrian Peterson back.
Maybe. Pretty
Wow.
productive on Sunday, wasn't
And the
he?
Packers could use Jordy Nelson.
Oh,
It's
my
going to be two
goodness.
really interesting games, though. Vikings at the Rams, which is, if Vikings win, that's an upset for sure. And then Buffalo travels to Green Bay. Be interested to see if the Vikings were just that bad, or Buffalo really is not as bad as we thought. Kind of tough when you have people picking Buffalo to lose to the Vikings 40-0.
Obviously,
They read that.
Obviously, Josh Allen made a difference for Buffalo. But with the rest of the team, doesn't it just show that when you get behind by 21 points at half, or you get ahead by 17 points at half, what a difference that makes in, I mean, they're human beings. They get down and they get up. And when you get up, you play better. When you get down, you play worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
A great point, because also we won the second half. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a first half game, and then it was done.
Right. Yeah.
Close up shop.
Last night, Pittsburgh was up 30-10 at halftime and almost blew it.
Yeah.
Of course, Tampa Bay's got to feel real good about themselves. Buffalo probably had not. But it's the old story about, if you think you're the better team, you better jump on them right away. And I've seen that happen with our teams, and it becomes, well, it doesn't come a blowout like the Vikings, but it becomes a struggle at the end, and then it's a coin flip, and you're in a position you don't want to be in. But we'll see how the Vikings bounce back.
Well, and the real disheartening thing to me is it happened at home in front of your jam-packed, purple jersey-filled building that is supposed to be the biggest home field advantage
They
in the
got quiet in
NFL.
a hurry, didn't they?
Whoa, yes. Yeah.
Whoa, yes.
I tell you what, though, from a coaching standpoint,
Yeah.
from a coaching standpoint for Buffalo, you've got to give them a lot of credit.
Oh.
And Buffalo gets a lot of credit. The players, the team, it's so easy to get down and get discouraged, and I got to tip my hat to them. They were awesome.
And Sean McDermott gets criticized for being a rah-rah guy, but they needed a rah-rah guy.
Yeah, they did.
Sim probably isn't a rah-rah guy, is he?
I want a little more humility from Zim in the press conferences. There's still this, brother, your team was not ready. And what kind of makes me a little, you got to put people are spending major bucks.
Sim can make the Grinch look perky.
You would be a good Grinch in the Christmas play, yeah.
The Gophers disappointed again. Thought this might be the year that coming off a pretty decent preseason schedule, played well, and they just looked terrible against Maryland. Missed assignments.
Wasn't the thought that this was going to be the game? The game?
We talked about that last week because these are the kind of games, in order to be competitive, you really do have to win.
Take that step.
Yeah.
I think worse is to be a Nebraska fan.
Ooh.
Right. Especially when you have like messianic notions for
Right.
the
Scott
coach.
Frost, yeah.
And you just all of a sudden, let's just step into the sinkhole of reality. And that's soul crushing. And let's hope that they don't regain their soul against us. But, you know, even you saw Purdue beat a ranked team this last weekend. They beat Boston College at home. And you say, well, let's see what the Gophers. I'd really like to see how they measure up against Iowa.
Did Iowa beat Wisconsin?
No,
I
they
thought
didn't.
They lost to Wisconsin.
Yeah, and they lost their concentration a few times. They kind of gave it away. The tipping point in that game was they had a punt. Iowa punted, and one of the young men for Iowa ran down, lost track of the ball, touched it with his foot. Wisconsin recovered, scored immediately. Just stuff like that was happening in the game. It was too bad. But Iowa's going to be a big test. If we're just really that bad or if there's improvement.
We're lucky to be in the West.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And that's 2 weeks from now, right? They don't play this
No,
weekend.
they don't play this
Got to
week.
buy this weekend.
Because they have a hurt quarterback and some other people.
And their best defensive player joins their best offensive player and be done for the season.
That doesn't help.
Wow.
But they'll get another year next year.
Right, yeah. Maybe the worst thing that happened to the Gophers was Maryland losing the week before. Kind of like,
Could be.
I think they kind of
Woke up?
had that moment too where it's like, okay, we got to go out and prove that we're better
Yeah,
than that.
they had some skill players, that's for sure.
Yeah, I thought they had some good athletes. They sure
Fast,
showed it.
strong,
Yeah.
good.
A lot different than what we had played the first 3
And our
weeks.
offensive line didn't look very good
No.
either.
No.
No. Hey, the Bison look good though.
If you watched them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, you know, and Delaware is traditionally,
Joe Flacco.
yeah, it's traditionally it's a big time FCS team. That is just such a dominant. The whole to be that good year after year after year, and you go through coaching changes, doesn't matter. You go through personnel changes, it doesn't matter. It's really something to behold.
Yeah.
You start giving more and more credit to people behind the scenes, behind the coaching, behind the whatever. But
Does Coach Bull benefit from great quarterbacks, or does he develop them? He's got Carson Wentz and Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the
That's
quarterback
true. That's
whisperer
true.
at this point.
Yeah, there you go. New TV show. Probably will be a reality TV series. Quarterback Whisperer.
sure are good defensively, though.
Yeah, the Bison are. Yeah, people were saying Delaware would give them a battle. It was 28-0 before you got settled in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, UND has to be happy that they still aren't, you know, they're going to be playing them again in 2020 or 2021 in a new configuration of the Missouri Valley Conference. Yeah, they can wait.
If there was any kind of TV market benefit to having NDSU, they'd be in the Big Ten.
it's true.
They could compete.
Yeah,
they could.
that's right.
Very true.
Yeah.
We're out of time. So thanks for watching. We'll be back and do this again next week, hopefully outing the Vikings win.
And I'll try to be on time next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Gophers keep losing, the TV market will expand into Minnesota.